It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new stuff from a band a lot of you probably are not familiar with, but you need to get familiar with quickly. The name of the song was Hurricane. The name of the band is Black Coffee. The name of the album is Take One. And on the line right now from Black Coffee, we have Ehab and Tommy. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having us.
Excellent, guys. Well, guys, I've been saying this for a couple of weeks since your publicist gave me the record. Fantastic stuff. No, surprisingly, with me being in Cleveland and you guys just right down the street, I didn't know anything about your band, but this record just kicks ass, man. So I'll start there by saying great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, we the album came out last month. It's our only kind of digital platform that we were able to push across. So hopefully it gets to Cleveland here pretty soon.
No doubt, man. Well, for people that don't know, which includes me, why don't we start with just like a brief history of who you guys are and how you got together? And because from what I understand, you guys are like as baby a band as a band could be, right?
Yeah. We formed about a year and some change ago, a year and a couple months ago. Started writing the album. The way we kind of formed was me and Justin, the guitar player. We played in a band for years together called Plain Old Henry. That band broke up because he moved to Boston to go to Berkeley. That's the School of Music. When that band broke up, me and the remaining members formed a new band, and we got Ehab to be our singer. So then it was kind of like I had Justin for years. And then he moved away, and then I found Ehab, and I was like, man, if I could just get these two guys in a room together, that would be some shit. And then a little while, about 8 months after we formed that new band, Justin came back for winter break, and that's when I was finally like, okay, you two need to sit down together. So we got together and jammed a couple times, and it was really awesome. It was exactly what we all wanted to do, and Justin basically came back for winter break and never left.
Right. No doubt. And what's the coolest thing about it from, listening to Take One is that you guys, you sound seasoned, which I guess makes a little more sense that you guys have sort of played together. Some of you have in the past, but at the same time, you're coming out with music that is really fitting at the right time. There's so many bands that are doing, I don't know what we're calling this these days, whether it's hippie rock or stoner rock or whatever we're calling this. There's so many bands that are doing it right now and that are having success, whether it's Rival Sons or Graveyard or, the list goes on and on. Do you guys get your influence from these bands that are happening now, or is it just the way you guys have created and it just formed that way, or what?
Honestly, we're all so influenced by so many old bands and so many old musicians that, like for me, for example, I grew up listening to like Michael Jackson and Prince every now and then, and things that are very poppy. And I was a dancer, and that's really where my vocals started to develop with that kind of stuff. So it was always very high singing. And when I met this kid in Columbus named Nick Freddie Ann when I was about 14 years old, he kind of showed me the 80s and the 90s, and I got very heavily influenced by that. And by the time that I ran into Tommy McCullough in this band that was called Electric Dream Machine, he had only listened to everything before the 80s, it seemed like, and obviously had a good knowledge about the 80s and influenced us in the 60s and 70s, or influenced me specifically. When Justin came home from Berkeley, he and Tommy had already been in a band, and they were both influenced by the same things, Sabbath and Zeppelin and Deep Purple and, all these great bands that I was introduced to very late.
Okay.
And those bands really is what shaped what Black Coffee is. Now, when Black Coffee, when he came home from winter break, he had the riff for I Barely Know Her, which is our single. In the coming months, by April, we had quit our other band and started Black Coffee with Justin, and the writing process was very quick. We wrote the album, in maybe a month or two, and if we had more money, the album would have came out a lot sooner.
Right.
But we're very broke. And, I would say probably when we were first getting into the studio, when actually Tommy's girlfriend had shown me this band called Greta Van Fleet, and that was about a month before their full album came out, or full double EP, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, holy shit, these guys are doing exactly what we want to do, and they have success. Like, they're opening this door, and, you know, here we come, hopefully smashing through right that door.
Right. Now, is it difficult when you're doing this to find, you know, objective people, i.e. friends or whatever, to listen to the music and get it? Because I'm going to guess here that none of you guys are over 30, you know, and with that said, I can't imagine that, you know, your friends are sitting around listening to Deep Purple made in Japan to you know, give you objective criticism. You know what I mean? Is it
right?
Has it been easy for you guys to find people to, you know, help guide you or help develop the music?
It seems like everybody wants to guide us and help us,
right?
Because the way it happened, I think, is, you know, we played our first show April 22nd, and it was like this showcase, like Columbus band showcase kind of a thing at the El Rosa Villa.
Okay.
And 21st, I'm sorry.
It was the 22nd.
It was the 22nd, wasn't it? Yeah. So anyway, so, you know, that showcased us as a band, and that was, you know, it was a kind of show where there was maybe 70 people there, and, you know, people are scattered on the patio at the bar, and some people are kind of sitting far away from the stage. And when we played, we had the bartenders, you know, leaving the bar because no one was at the bar anymore, and everyone was standing in front of us, and that was something that was very humbling. And when we got off stage, we had, you know, 70 people coming up to us. Hey, listen, you guys are fantastic. I've been in a band for 10 years. Let me show you this. Let me do this for you. Like, listen, here's who you should be contacting. And we had a lot of great people, especially now, contacting us, and, you know, management and PR representatives and photographers and stuff like that. It's a lot of great people with a lot of wisdom, and we do nothing but listen to that and, you know, keep our feet on the ground because we don't know what the hell we're doing. So.
Yeah, the support from the scene was instant, you know, because we've all three of us have been in the Columbus music scene for, you know, years, you know, independently and in bands together and things like that, and we never really got the reaction that we did, you know, when we played that first show, like Ehab was talking about. But, you know, as soon as we played, it just exactly like he said, you know, what we've noticed is like all the more seasoned musicians and all the, you know, more seasoned photographers and things like that in the scene have really gotten behind us and helped us. Exactly like Ehab said, you know, we had people coming up to us that night saying, hey, you know, this is what you need to do. And going back to your original question about like people of our generation, you know, I feel like there's a lot more people of our generation that's listening to that kind of 60s, 70s music, like the whole classic rock revival is like coming back. So a lot of people, like a lot of my friends from high school and stuff that weren't really into rock, you know, I haven't talked to them forever, are like hitting me up saying like, hey, you know, I've started listening to this kind of music now that I went to college, and you guys are awesome and all this, that, and the other thing. So like where the people of our age aren't really seasoned enough to know like, you know, the A's and B's and the hardware of like who to talk to and things like that. We get that support from the more seasoned members, but there's still a lot of people from like our generation who are supporting us, you know, buying the stuff and listening to the music. So that's a really nice thing to have, you know?
No doubt, man. Well, up here in Cleveland, you know, the Cleveland music scene is really, really decimated right now to where, and it could very well be the same way down there. I'm not sure. And you guys can tell me. Up here, bands that are doing original music are just dying on the vine. It's hard for them to get gigs. It's hard to get music out there. You know, everything right now up here is you got to play, half your set has to be covers, or you have to be a cover band that mixes in an original song every once in a while. And that doesn't breed for bands growing, you know, at all. I'm curious, are you guys having that same problem down there, and how you fight that?
We're very blessed and lucky to be in Columbus, and the Columbus music scene is comparable to like the Austin music scene, and comparable to like Seattle, and comparable to all these great music scenes, at least in my opinion, because we get gig offers every other day to play original music, and we're lucky enough to like be in the same scene that 21 Pilots came from, the same scene that you know, all these huge bands came from. And I think that creates the market for original music, as well as you know, covers are always great, the audience loves it, a lot of places around here that'll pay you a good amount of money for like a 3-4 hour cover show.
Right.
But outside of that, we again, we're just very blessed to be in the music scene that we are, where people love originals. And I actually did not know the Cleveland music scene was like that, so maybe we'll have to come up there and do something.
No doubt. Now you guys did mention Greta Van Fleet, and certainly they, I would imagine, are the blueprint right now. Or Rival Sons too. I mean, Rival Sons has had quite a bit of success. Go ahead.
They're fantastic.
Oh yeah, but you mentioned that you hope to be, to walk through that door or kick it down on your way through. What do you think that you need to do that they have done but maybe have not done enough to where you can surpass them?
Our plan, and like I said, we all love Greta Van Fleet, and
sure.
I sort of enjoy them, and they're giving us like inspiration in the sense of like, hey, these are guys that are in their 20s that are playing classic rock, and wearing freaking fringe shirts, and they're having success. So that's pushing us more, than we've ever been pushed before, because we've been told our whole lives that, rock's dead, and, rock, you can't play, guitar riff music anymore because that's what nobody wants to hear. Basically our plan is to just keep doing what we're doing. There's a lot of things that we're hard line about, a lot of things that like we refuse to change, that, are different than how people do it in the modern music industry. Like a good example is like when we go into the studio, we record, and this is all of us being hard-headed about it, but we record basically as if it was 1904. We stand in the room together. There's no metronome. There's no pitch correction. There's no, there's not a lot of really cutting and pasting. There's nothing like that going on. So I think that's kind of what gives us a different feel. And, like we're all very unique with like Justin's guitar tone and my drum sounds and Ehab's voice and things. So our plan, is now that the market is willing to listen to this classic rock kind of style of music, our plan is to come in and just try to make ourselves as unique as possible, by just doing what we do naturally.
No doubt.
And to kind of hit the last part of your question, it's, with all respect, it's a footstep thing. I think that they've created this platform, and they are doing what they're doing very well. They've based their sound off of Zeppelin, and they are doing it very well. That's their whole persona. That's what they're doing, and people love it because Zeppelin's amazing. You know what I mean? Greta
Sure.
Van Fleet are a bunch of very talented musicians that know what they're doing. They know exactly how they're marketing themselves, and I think that we don't know what the hell we're doing, but we know that we sound like a bunch of people that people like. we tend to play our original music, and for me specifically, like I listen to Axl Rose, Miles Kennedy, and Steven Tyler 24/7, and then all of a sudden, every third person I talk to, dude, you sound like Chris Cornell, Bon Scott, Sebastian Bach. I'm like, I love those singers, but where the hell,
Right.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And so I think it's the uniqueness and the raw factor that we bring that I think sets us apart than a band like Rival Sons or a band like Greta Van Fleet.
Very cool, man. Well, obviously, in 2018, internet is a big deal for most bands. To me, I almost think that it's a little more of a negative than a positive, just because while yes, you can reach a lot of people, you're basically competing with anybody that has a laptop these days, which really kind of dilutes the water. Makes it hard. Oh yeah, exactly. But it makes it harder to be. It makes it harder to be heard because people don't take chances on something they don't know anymore. Because let's face it, 9 out of 10 times, it's a bag of shit that you're handed when you've never heard of it before.
Yep.
That being said, with you guys, are you finding the internet to be helpful or a pain in the ass or a little of both or what?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. Everything that you said is 100% true. There's a lot that, because speaking of the 70s and the 80s and stuff back in the day, people didn't hear you unless you were like signed and on a label and they were, dumping, hundreds of thousands into you. So, I'm trying to think of the best. Like when you were introduced into something new, like they basically you had to be good for people to hear you because there was no kind of internet platform to spread
Sure.
your stuff across. That being said, we're getting calls from radio stations in France and Australia and England and Canada and South America, Brazil kind of area. And so, while it does dilute it and while it does make it a lot harder for you to like stand out, it also has, it's also helped us just because, we've been able to spread out and hit places that we would not have been able to hit, at our level right now.
Sure.
Back in the day, it was the quickest way you could get to people was through an email. That was really the first form of any kind of online services that bands were doing. Like, hey, be a part of our email chain. You know what I mean? We'll send you every single thing that we're doing. So it's definitely a positive because you can spread like wildfire if you have the right sound in the right time. But it's a negative because if you don't know that the Facebook algorithm doesn't like this, and this, and won't push it as hard if you do this, and this, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of science behind every different social media platform and how you promote and how you post. And, without the people that have just come up to us to help us and just, hey, listen, here's the mistakes we've done. Here's what you should be doing. You know what I mean? Without those kinds of people, and that's Columbus. That's why, at the end of our album, special thanks to everyone in the Columbus music scene, because without them, we would have no idea what the hell is going on,
Sure.
We'd just be playing music.
Oh, I got to say, you're both making me feel really old saying that back in the day was email chains when me and Tommy turned, I turned 21 last month. Tommy turned 21 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So we're pretty young, unfortunately. We feel like we're 35 though.
Well, even that, I mean, I am 49, so I'm an old timer on this. And I remember back in the days when we would go buy a box of tapes and everybody would tape their favorite thing. And then you'd meet up somewhere at a party with a bottle of vodka and just keep switching tapes in a boombox. That's how old I am. So
my question is, why were we not there?
Yeah, my question is because I ran into this guy forever ago, was a musician in the 70s, and of course we started talking about it because I'm like, man, I love music from the 70s. And he's like, man, we all used together. He goes, I remember when Zeppelin 4 came out, we all got together. One of us bought the album because it was so expensive. We all chipped in. And then he goes, we just, 30 people came to my house and we just sat down around the turntable and listened to the album. And I was like, yeah, I know there's like streaming services and everything, but like, why don't people do that anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why don't people get together and listen to music? And we do that because we're weirdos. But we're just like, why don't people do that? Why don't people sit down and listen, to music and have it be like a group thing anymore? And we're trying to push to make that, a thing again. So, because when we give people of our generation the album, because like, older folks, like older generations, know how to listen to an album. They'll sit down and play the whole thing front to back. But whenever we give it to kids our age, we're always like, special instructions, put it in, start at the beginning, and listen all the way through. Do not stop. Don't be
right.
Sit down and listen to the damn thing. And people are like, oh, okay. And then they listen to it. It's like, okay, now you know how to listen to an album.
And this album, we had to not put tracks on it because we're like, let's not make it too long because people aren't gonna, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's where the EP versus album debate comes up. And yeah,
we
let's not monologue.
We say go to hell with that stuff.
Nice. Well, guys, as I said at the beginning of the interview, I love it. The name of the band is Black Coffee. The name of the album is Take One. Where can people get it?
It's available on all platforms right now: CD Baby, iTunes, Spotify. It's on YouTube. Our music video for I Barely Know Her is also out on YouTube right now.
If you go to the band Facebook page, it's under Official Black Coffee. You can shoot us a DM on there, and if you want a physical copy, obviously that's what we want you to do. You can shoot us an email on there, and we'll get it mailed to you. Or if you shoot an email to officialblackcoffee@yahoo.com, we can also get you hooked up with a physical copy if you so desire.
Excellent. Well, guys, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the record. We played Hurricane to open this up, so what would you like us to wrap with?
Should we do the Traveler?
Oh, wrap it with The Traveler.
Yeah, do the Traveler.
And why that one?
Because it's the opposite of Hurricane.
All right, fair.
Yeah, it's literally it's the opposite pole.
The Traveler was recorded in about I want to say the version you're listening to is the first take. We only did 2 takes of it, so it's a very special song to us.
Yeah, it really that's my personal favorite on the album, and I really feel like if you listen to Hurricane and you like that, and you can listen to Traveler and you like that, that's like our
Black Coffee.
That's our entire range. Everything else we do falls somewhere in between those two.
Nice. Well, let's check it out right now. Here it goes. It is The Traveler. It's Black Coffee right here on your Classic Metal Show.